I have chosen to talk about the TV show Arrow, which is a retelling of one of DC Comics comic book Green Arrow, and the TV series Arrow follows the billionaire playboy Oliver Queen, who have been stranded on the hellish island Lian for 5 years due to a shipwreck. Oliver returns home to Starling City, where he reunites with his friends and family and takes on the role as a vigilante who fights against crime and corruption with his bow and arrow to restore his city's former glory. And as the time progresses, the hacker Felicity Smoke and former U.S. military John Diggle joins Oliver on his quests. Yeah. The narrator is Oliver, who does a voiceover explaining some of the things the audience can see and some of the plot that is important to catch up on. But the narrative voice of Oliver is barely there. But the story is told predominantly from Oliver and his team's point of view, and from time to time you do get a POV, a point of view slash backstory of the main villain in the season. There are 8 seasons, and every season has the main villain that they have to fight against. And yeah, you do get a point of view and backstory of the main villain, which justifies their action, while the smaller villains don't get a backstory, which makes them come across as a unnecessary evil. You could say an unnecessary evil that really only do bad things for money or power or fame. You could also say that Oliver suffers from PTSD from all that he has undergone by being away from home in 5 years and losing his father and girlfriend's sister on the shipwreck. But when he comes home, he takes on many roles as a loving but a distant father to two children and CEO of a multi-billionaire company, Queen Industries, which was his parents' company that he inherited. He also acts like the city's savior and so on. But he's also very damaged. He is a violent killer who is surrounded by darkness due to the killings and having an inner crisis while fighting an outer crisis. The inner crisis being finding out how he wants to save the city without maybe killing as many people as he does, but also the outer crisis of trying to save the city and the villains and the corruption in the city. He fails multiple times. He also fails determining what is right and wrong, but from that he grows and in different aspects of his life. He becomes a father and the mayor of the city, and at one point an inmate, and all these factors contribute to his growth as a person. Where in the first season we do hear a little bit of his thought and his story, where he says, "My name is Oliver Queen. For 5 years I was stranded on an island with only one goal: to survive. Now I will fulfill my father's dying wish to use the list of names he left me and bring down those who are poisoning my city. To do this, I must become someone else. I must become something else. And this quote tells like the state of mind he is in season 1, and where he really his only goal is to survive from the island and get back home and fulfill his father's dying wish and use the list of names to bring down those who are hurting his city. But late as the season as the TV as the what do we call as the show progresses, we hear this quote in season 5 and 6 where we hear this quote in season 7 where he says, "My name is Oliver Queen. After 5 years in hell, I returned home with only one goal, to save my city, but I couldn't honor that commitment and honor the promise I made to the mother of my son. So I asked the best man I know to help." His name is John Diggle, and he's the Green Arrow. This quote in this quote you can see Oliver put aside the thought of him fulfilling his quest and his promise to his father, so he can honor the commitment. He can honor the promise he made to the mother of his son. So he's a person who also honors his promises, and if he tells you that he's going to do something, he's most likely to do it. And John Diggle, who is a former U.S. military, is also Oliver's best friend, and their relationship is built on trust and encouragement of one another. Even though they have some fallouts now and then, they still trust each other and are always there for each other. And then there is Felicity Smoke, who is an hacker, and also Oliver's on and off girlfriend, and the mother to his daughter Mia. And their relationship is also complicated, but they also trust one another and are committed to each other. Starling City is a city with a high crime rate and a place filled with corruption. And as every new seasons come along, the state of the city gets worse. People are in danger. People are hungry and left jobless or with no jobs, and people copies his secret identity of the Green Arrow, and making everything worse, because everything in the city worse, because they try to take justice into their own hands. And the story is told with a lot of flashback scenes, and sometimes it does get confusing on what is what, but you know when it's a flashback scene, because sometimes he has longer hair, or Oliver has longer hair or shorter hair. You also see in the flashback his time on the island, and the time of the 5 years where he isn't on the island. He wasn't only on the island for those 5 years, he was just missing. But yeah, you also get to see where he was when he wasn't on the island. And there aren't many symbols in the series, but one of the main symbol is the character Arrow, not Oliver Queen, but Arrow, who represents or symbolizes Robin Hood, who takes from the rich and gives to the poor. And I guess you can say the same about Arrow, because he tries to will save his city from the crime and corruption, and takes from the rich and gives to the poor, even though he by day is a billionaire, and by night is a vigilante. But another symbol is also the arrows in the theme songs for every season. Every season, the arrow is made out so it tells a little bit about what is going to happen. So if it's a season with magic, the arrow would show some kind of magic drawing on it. And that's how you can tell the difference between the seasons, but it's also a symbol of what's to come. Even though the main theme in this series is superheroes and villains and so on, the theme growing also comes up, or growing up also comes up, while Oliver is an ignorant playboy who didn't really care for others, but himself and his friends and family, but he didn't really care for others and was always drinking and doing drugs and such. But this time on the island really taught him a lot, and he comes back not only as a better person but also as a different person who have endured a lot. And I really want to draw a contrast between this TV series and the text of Pangmala, where Pangmala is doing something to make her father proud, but also finding out what she wants for herself and doing what's right in that time and place, what she feels for in that time and place. And the same goes for Oliver, where he really at first does all of this because he wants to fulfill his father's dying wish and cure the city or save the city, but also as while he's in it, he also finds himself in doing what's right in a specific time and place, but also he kind of solves his inner crisis like Pangmala did, because her her outer crisis was solved. And even though Oliver's outer crisis isn't near solved and his inner crisis really isn't solved, but it really does get better with time, and you see so much growth in him as you do with Pangmala and her father as well. Yeah.